Creating content. Now you have your blog and your brand, and you know the kind of personality that you want to portray. Everything is in place for you to start filling your site and your social media accounts with content. And yes, it is implied that you should have set up social media accounts on at least the top sites by now: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Pinterest. If you haven't, then go and do that now. Now you can begin posting, and here's what that is going to entail. Blogging. To become a top blogger, you need to blog. Obviously, our aim here is to go full-time as a blogger, so that we aren't reliant on any other source of income, and we can potentially give up the day jobs. One of the first things you need to know in order to do this, then, is that your blogging is going to need to be highly regular. You need to post at least once a week, but where possible, I recommend that you post much more frequently. This is another thing that should be fairly obvious, but that seems to elude a lot of new bloggers. If you want to blog full-time, then you need to treat it like a full-time job to begin with. You can't blog for 2 hours a week and expect to become top dog. Blogging frequently will help you to get more attention on Google, because it will create more content for Google to index, and because it will help you build momentum with your readers. You'll be giving them a good reason to come back regularly, apart from anything else. At the same time, even if you only have long-tail keywords, meaning that you only occasionally get a visit from Google on each post, the more you have, the more you will scale up your profits. Look at it this way. If each blog post you have gets 20 cents a month from Google and you write 40 blog posts per month, then you'll still be making $96 within the first year. Fortunately, the nature of Google and blogging in general is such that things like this tend to snowball. The more people read your site, the more you'll get shared, and the more additional people will come to your site. So the more content you write, the better. Only problem is that it takes a lot of time to write content, and when you start out, you'll probably be trying to fit this in around your other daily activities. That's why I highly recommend that you consider using somewhat smaller articles for the most part. Make these around 700 to 800 words, and that way you can more realistically manage to write several a week. You can even write these at the start of the week in order to make sure you have a batch ready to go. That said, there are a lot of positives for writing long-form content, which Google is a big fan of. Long-form content is anything 1,500 words or longer, with lots of links and with lots of images, etc. These types of posts can become resources, meaning that Google will feature them more prominently, and meaning that your readers might share them as useful tools to illustrate a point, or bring someone up to speed on a subject as part of a discussion. Ideally, then, you will intersperse your lighter posts with a couple of mega posts to keep your site more varied, and to give yourself the best of both worlds. Ideally, posting 3 shorter posts a week and 1 longer post would be an excellent place to start. What to write? Okay, so the next question is, what should you be writing? This is going to depend on the nature of your site and the niche, of course. But some things that will be true regardless of your topic are, it should be written in a colloquial, friendly manner that is easy to read. It should provide value to the reader. It should be unique, exciting, and engaging. Again, stay away from things that are generic, and instead only write topics that are exciting, new, and original. For instance, you might find a way to combine 2 different subjects in a unique and interesting way. What footballers can learn from martial arts. Or you might just dive deeper into a subject than most people do. The psychology of gardening. Why is it so addicting? Again, stay away from the generic stuff. You want your content to be so unique and exciting that when someone sees the title, they feel compelled to read it. Treat each post like a product, and put all the same care and time into it as you would with any other product. Social media posting. That's how you will keep your blog alive with content. So now what about your social media? How will you fill this with interesting new posts and make sure that the people want to keep reading? The first thing to consider is that once again, your content needs to be regular. There is nothing worse than a completely dead social media page, and this will absolutely drive people away from your brand. A tip to help you keep the content flowing is to write posts in advance and schedule them using a tool like Buffer, as well as to consider creating synergy between your social media accounts with a tool like IFTTT. IFTTT will make it so that you can ensure all future posts to Instagram with a specific hashtag will also be posted to Twitter, for example. thereby ensuring a steady flow of content on both channels, even though you're only creating media for one of them. If you are creating a personal brand, then this allows you to post about your day, and hopefully you'll find that inspiration strikes regarding when you can post and what you can say. Using your mobile phone will help a lot here, as you always have them on us, and so it should be easy to pull them out to snap a photo of your workout, of what we're eating, or of where we're traveling. This way we are bringing our audience along with us throughout our travels and our routine, and thereby promoting the brand and our lifestyles. Of course, you also want to share the content you create, and you can do this directly through WordPress. Another tip: don't be afraid to post old content that you made a while ago. This is a great way to get people to see posts they might have missed, and to make more use from your evergreen posts. This is also something to keep in mind when you're posting seemingly into the void and no one is reading your work. While you might not be getting any feedback now, it doesn't mean those same posts won't get read in the future. Again, the most important thing to do is to provide value of some sort. The way you do this will vary from social media platform to social media platform. On Twitter, the most common way to provide value is with entertainment, humorous or interesting snippets relevant to your niche. On Facebook, it's a good idea to share content that you find interesting and that your audience might as well. Look at Facebook pages like LAD Bible or IFL Science for a good model of how this works. If you post a lot of interesting things and your branding is clear, people will follow you just to stay updated. And finally, on Instagram, the best way to provide value is by offering inspiration by letting people live vicariously. This is why people like to see pictures of people doing yoga against sunrises on the beach, or working in cafes in suits. Is it narcissistic? Maybe, but it's what people want to see, and it can work wonders for your brand. YouTube. If you want to be a successful blogger, then you should highly consider becoming a successful vlogger. This is absolutely one of the most effective ways to help people discover your brand, to communicate with them what you're all about, and even to make sales. YouTube can make a lot of money, and if you get a few thousand views per month on all your videos, it can very nicely supplement your income to help you blog full-time. It also elevates your brand in a big way, because video is something that takes skill and the right equipment to create. Anyone can post to Twitter, but if you have a YouTube video with high production values, crisp video footage, and great editing, then people will think that you must be a pro. This is a much more personal form of media, a much more persuasive one, and one that exists on a platform where it's relatively easy to do high-quality SEO and get to the top of big searches. Just take a look at a brand like Charisma on Command. This brand started as a blog and got relatively nowhere. They then introduced a YouTube channel and exploded seemingly overnight. The same can happen for you, as long as you know how to manage it. So where do you get started? The basics. First, you need to decide on the kinds of videos you want to create. This should be easy enough, seeing as you already have your brand and probably, hopefully, a personal brand. You've taken a look at your presentation, and you've learned through Instagram how to make things look desirable. Now you just need to polish up your elocution. Speak more slowly to sound more confident, and choose a nice backdrop, and you can consider to send that message of success and style. Again, posting frequently is one of the most important things you can do, and so that means you need to create shorter videos that will convey snippets of information. The great thing as well is that you can be relatively informal in your delivery. YouTube is a platform where people love personalities, and if you look at some of the top channels on here, they all have a very conversational and candid manner. A real vlog actually involves someone bringing a camera with them through their daily routine and narrating it. There's nothing wrong with engaging in the hobby or passion you're writing about, getting out your camera, and then just riffing on a topic close to your heart. Production. What does matter, though, is the production. The higher the quality of your videos, the more successful they'll be. Start with video quality. Your video should be at least 1080p HD, and that means you need a decent camera. Ideally, something like a Lumix with a flip screen so you can see yourself while you record. That said, a smartphone will do fine if it has decent autofocus and a high-quality sensor. Actually, more important than this, though, is lighting. Your videos need to be bright, which means you either need to stand near a window or you need to make the relatively small investment of a decent softbox. This will provide lighting for you that looks professional and make a huge difference to your videos. A similar quick and easy upgrade is to get better sound. You can do this with an external mic or with a lapel mic. The Snowball mic from Blue Yeti is one that many vloggers recommend. Finally, you need to have good editing software so that you can put this all together. You're going to want some decent background music. Commission some from a composer on Fiverr.com. And you'll want a decent video opener. Ditto. Place your logo in the top left. Then stitch all this together and sync your audio track using software such as Adobe Premiere or Final Cut Pro. Now with your video component, your audience will feel that they can get to know you, and you can start to cross-promote across all your channels. Add your YouTube channels to your blog posts by embedding them, and tell people on YouTube why they should definitely follow you on Twitter and check out your blog. Of course, the plugins we discussed mean that when someone visits your site, they'll be able to see all the media you're creating on all the different platforms. Promoting your blog and videos. Unfortunately, blogging is not as simple as build it and they will come. Although regularly posting on Instagram and on YouTube will help this. Just because you have a great blog, that doesn't mean that people are going to want to read it regularly, or that Google is going to help people to discover it. So how do you get the word out? There are a number of different strategies, but I'm going to focus on the most important ones and look at this from the perspective of a top blogger, rather than your conventional internet marketer. Share your posts. Actually, the most important thing you can do to start building an audience for your blog posts is to share those blog posts. There are a number of ways you can do that, and chances are that with experimentation, you'll find what works for you and what doesn't. A great option for many people is Reddit. Find the subreddit that is most relevant to your niche, and then post your blog post in here, making sure that they have titles that will grab attention, but also being mindful not to get banned from the community for spam. If you get lots of upvotes, which happens occasionally, it can lead to thousands of new visitors in a single day. Similar is Google Plus communities. These tend to be a little less strict than Reddit, but will still yield plenty of new visitors and hits on your site. What's more is that plus ones are a good metric for boosting your SEO. Dig is another good site, as is StumbleUpon. Otherwise, you might want to find forums where you can post your content. Again though, be careful not to be seen as a spammer. You need to make sure that you contribute to the community regularly, and that you are an active member. If you can do that, then your content will be welcomed rather than deleted. You might even find that the members rally behind you to help. Make a mailing list. Finally, make sure you have a mailing list. This is a way to make sure you are capturing the details of each new person that visits your site so that you can market to them later on. This way, you can share what you're doing and promote your new posts directly in their inbox, which is much more direct and personal than going through social media. Influencer marketing and guest posting. One of the most powerful ways to get more people to visit your site is with influencer marketing. This means that you're going to exchange links with other big players in your niche, or give each other a shout out. This happens on YouTube a lot, where one creator might make a video featuring another, and then they do the same thing in exchange. Either way, influencer marketing allows you to gain access to a huge audience that someone else has gone to the trouble of building. If you try and contact the top blogger in your niche, then of course you can expect to be told where to go. But if you choose someone at a similar level as yourself, then you can help each other and then build up from there. Even if they're smaller than you, you can still help each other. This is also why it's such a good idea to attend networking events as a blogger. If you do this, then you can find people to work with and make a much bigger impression by speaking in person. This way you become almost real friends, and they will feel practically obligated to answer your emails and help. Similar to influencer marketing is guest blogging. Here, you simply create a free guest post to give to another blog, and the only proviso is that they have to include a link back to your site, often with a short bio if they publish it. This means writing content and then reaching out to big blogs. Again, start a little smaller and work your way up, and don't be afraid to ask. If you're passionate about what you do, then you'll be surprised how often you get a good response. Again though, this is why it's so important that you know and love your topic, and that your site looks professional. Top brands don't want to associate with lesser brands. SEO. I'm not going to go into detail about this here. This is not a training on SEO, but suffice to say that if you want your site to do well, then a little search engine optimization certainly doesn't hurt. Spend some time learning the basics of SEO, and make sure that your on-page content is up to scratch. Don't cram keywords though, and don't write for the search engines. Write for your audience. and just make sure that you are naturally using related language and ideally the occasional synonym or keyword. It doesn't hurt to do some basic research about what kinds of things people are searching for in the niche either. Make sure your pages load quickly and are responsive for mobile too. The plugins and theme section of this training should have helped with that. The most important part of SEO is to have a diverse and organic looking backlinks profile and to get links from the biggest sites you can. Ideally, you want links from sites that Google trusts, and you can see this by looking at which sites Google features in its news section. If you can't get links from them, then get links from people that they have linked to. Think of this like a game of degrees of separation. Combine this with links that you acquire from people who want to share your content because it is of such high quality. This is why it's so important to write for people and not bots. Nothing beats real links from real people. One last tip when it comes to marketing is to look after your fans. If you've ever read the book 1000 True Fans, then you'll know the concept that having a number of true fans can be enough to promote your business and ensure it's a massive success. Answer messages and look after each and every person that shows an interest in your brand. This is what you've been working for, so why would you ignore them? Profiting. After all this work, you'll probably find you want to start earning some profit. If you're going to make blogging your full-time job and really live the dream, then this is really pretty crucial. To start with, you don't need to focus on that. Hopefully, this training has communicated to you how top bloggers get there by writing about what they're honestly passionate about, by creating a unique brand, by living that brand in a way that all their followers can see. If you can do this, you'll eventually get successful enough that opportunities present themselves to you. This takes time though, and if you're planning on getting rich overnight, then you're going to get quickly frustrated and give up. That's why you're not to focus on profit to start with. In fact, I recommend that you don't even monetize your blog at first. You won't make much anyway in the first couple of months, and it's more important that you learn to enjoy what you're doing and build the trust. Once you decide to start earning, you then have a few options. AdSense. AdSense means placing adverts on your site that will pay out each time someone clicks on them. This is the easiest and fastest way to monetize a site, but as a result, it's also the least profitable. You're right at the bottom of the ladder here, because someone is obviously able to earn much more money from those visitors or they wouldn't be willing to pay you for them. Google takes its cut too, and ultimately you won't earn a living from AdSense until you're getting hundreds of thousands of daily hits to your site. That said, this can be an easy way to make a small side income while you focus on better methods. Selling a product. The ideal scenario is that you sell your own product. This will be something like an ebook or a course that you develop. People will want to buy this because you've put the time in and built that trust, and now you'll be getting 100% of the profit. Better yet, selling a product will keep people engaged with your brand and means they'll be more likely to buy future products from you. Conclusion. Your blueprint to turn blogging into a highly profitable full-time job. With that monetization in place and your brand on point, all that's left to do is to keep on posting content and keep on promoting your site. We've seen how to do this, but let's just recap the most important steps to get up and running and then to keep it growing. Getting up and running. Choose your niche. Pick something you're passionate about and then carve a niche within that. Create a brand. Know what your blog is about and what your mission is. Know your target audience. Create a logo. This should speak perfectly to the topic of your blog. Create your site. Use WordPress. Make sure it is as professional as your top competition. Install the recommended plugins and customize your theme. Get on social media and YouTube. Make sure your branding is consistent across all these channels. Invest in yourself. Make sure you embody your brand. Keeping it growing. Aim to post at least 3 times 700 plus word blog posts and 1 times 1500 plus word blog post per week. More is better. Post to Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at least twice daily, ideally more frequently. Ensure synergy between those 3 channels and your blog. Post 1 times new YouTube video every week. Create 2 times new guest posts per month. Influencer marketing opportunities. Attend blogging networks. Post to communities and forums in your niche. Be an active member of those communities. Answer your fan mail and comments. Look after your followers. Keep this up and make sure that you really love what you're doing and that your content is really unique. and you'll be well on your way to being a top blogger. Soon, you'll be earning money while you sleep. All that for doing something that you are absolutely passionate about. The single most important part of all of this? Write about your passion, and do it in a way that is honest and exciting. This is the one thing that all top blogs have in common. This is not something you can hack or cheat at. And anyway, why would you want to?